Hello patrons, it is Sunday, June 12th, the first day of E3 press conferences, and this is your Cup of Jones. Good morning, good day, good afternoon, depending on what time it is when you see this video. On this glorious first day of E3, I am here on our E3 stage. We're still in the garage, but we have set some things up for E3. I'm not showing you all of it yet, but I am on the stage. I have done everything as far as E3 prep is concerned. This is the last thing I have to do is deliver your Cup of Jones. So this is going to be a very short episode for Cup of Jones this week. I'm not going to take any questions. I'm not going to do an editorial. I'm going to talk to you guys a little bit about 4 E3 memories that I have, that I remember, that I consider milestones in the progression of my career, which was mostly game trailers up until now. But now it's Easy Allies, and it's E3. It's our first E3 as Easy Allies. I cannot wait. I want to talk to you real quick about this wonderful cup that I have. You'll notice the Uncharted logo on one side. On the other side, this is the cup that was given out at the Uncharted 4 wrap party. I'm currently enjoying the heck out of Uncharted 4, and I had to get to this cup eventually. And what better time to get to it than before the hypest of all days, E3 2016. Kicking it off with 2 awesome days of press conference coverage, but let's get into, you all know what we're up to. You can go to patreon.com. You can go to easyallies.com. We have a website now. You can go to easyallies.com. You can see our whole schedule of when we're going to be streaming and where else we'll be this week. But a lot of people, when they talk about E3, I'm getting asked to be on different shows and podcasts and stuff, and a lot of people are saying, well, let us know what your favorite E3 memories are. I'm going to be extremely selfish, if you'll let me, right now before E3, about my E3 memories. Because my E3 memories, I definitely have some memories about exciting things that I've seen other people do in press conferences, announcements that companies have made about video games. But I've been going to E3 since 2002. I didn't know what E3 was before my first time going to E3. And there are definitely 4 benchmarks that I remember where you do so much throughout the year and you kind of forget what things you're doing that are working and kind of what benchmarks you have for success. I really just kind of do one day of work and go right into the next. And so these 4 days were a fun moment to kind of step back and realize what we at Game Trailers had accomplished. The first one is 2002, my first E3. GameTrailers.com launched the day of E3 in 2002. I did not get any sleep that night. I stayed up all night, finished the final touches on this god-awful website that we launched with, and ran to E3 and ran around to all of the booths with a business card that we printed out, I think, on just regular paper, and asked for trailers. Basically went up to these booths, which I don't do anymore because I'm going to be going to E3 this year and I don't even bother to do this, which is checking in with all of the PR people at all of the individual booths and getting the trailers from them physically, like getting a beta tape or getting a drive or, whatever form of DVD or CD or anything, like, anything they had that had media on it, I wanted it. And I remember at the time talking to some people and there's this huge screen behind them of the trailer, and I'm asking them for the trailer, and they have no idea what I'm talking about. They're like, trailers, what do you mean? I'm like, that thing that's like next to your head that has been looping all day, that you're going to hear that song like 500 times before E3 is over. I want that video. Where do I get that? Everybody knows where you get that now. It's a lot easier to get that stuff digitally than it was in 2002. But we launched on the day of 2002. I got to go to E3 for the first time. Thank you, Mike Buddy, for getting us all into E3 that year. And that was definitely a trip, joining this crazy industry and, of course, this crazy show that we all love. My next 2 benchmarks are from the same year. I believe it's 2005. It might be 2006. We were acquired by Viacom in 2005. And the first year after we were acquired, I can't remember if that was before or after E3, so it might have been the next year, MTV made a big push. They made new shirts for us. They said MTV Networks on the back, and they built us a booth. It was the first and only year that I've ever had a booth at E3. So we'll get to that in a second. The first fun memory was, I remember being interviewed by a friend of mine named Joel Gardine, who walked around with a helmet cam. He had like a helmet that had a cam of him and had a cam of the person he was interviewing, poor guy. But thank you for that interview. I think it was the first on-camera interview that I ever did for Game Trailers. And for a long time, whenever I would be interviewed by somebody else or whatever, I would appear somewhere, they would dig up this horrible picture because he had this horrible head cam of me. I believe in the Sony booth, I think like Africa was announced that year for the PlayStation 3. Like there were lots of weird things going on at Sony that year. I made all sorts of bizarre predictions, but what I remember was being up right before or after I got interviewed. I was up on the second floor of the Sony booth, and I remember looking out onto the floor of the E3, the Los Angeles Convention Center, and seeing not one, because we had these distinctive red shirts that year for game trailers, and seeing not one, but two separate camera crews that were doing their thing. They were just on their way to go interview somebody, and that was really fascinating. And that's something, we talk about Easy Allies. That's something that is always really enjoyable in working at game trailers, working at Easy Allies, is kind of seeing not what you do, but what other people do in the name of the project that you started. Seeing other people and knowing that, this obviously was the case every single day of operation at game trailers, that there were people all around me doing things I was not doing and all kind of chipping in to create this product that we were all working towards. But seeing it in action, having, lighting people and makeup and hosts and camera and, like assistants that were checking in with people at different booths and stuff like that. Seeing two separate crews just kind of go out, guerrilla crews, just like, get out there and get that gaming news. I was swelled with a great amount of pride. But a couple days earlier, I actually got an exhibitor badge because we were exhibiting at E3. We had a booth at E3. And so I got to go in a Saturday or Sunday, the weekend before. And I remember kicking back. If you have ever been to the Los Angeles Convention Center, if you know where the South Hall is, there is an escalator that goes up to a cafeteria area. And there's a place right now where I think there's a coffee shop that is the closest store to the entrance to the actual South Hall of the Convention Center. Right on the corner there, right where that escalator is, was our booth. And it was basically just a quick thing to set up, not a lot bigger than this garage, where you would bring somebody in, sit them down on stage, interview them, and then bring in the next person. Similar to a lot of the covers that we did later, but we built a booth for it. We had a presence at E3. We weren't actually in the hall. We were outside the hall, kind of in the concourse, if you will, between West and South Hall. But that was a trip, going there, getting food, getting some coffee, getting some pizza, and kicking back and watching people that had no idea who I was, people that I had no idea who they were, build a booth of this website that I created. That was not only a really fun E3 memory, but that was just a crazy memory, period. I will never forget that. So whenever E3 comes up, I just imagine this giant red booth with GameTrailers.com up on top, and all of these construction people groaning that they had to work there on a weekend, and I'm just kicking back like, thanks guys, thank you for putting this amazing thing together, because it was the first, I was like, I can't wait to see what our booth looks like next year. That was our only booth. We had a space, it was kind of like the corner of a wrestling ring, farther down in the South Hall the following year, and then every year we've been offsite since then. So, but that one booth, that was sweet. 2012, I believe, was the first year that we did All Access with Jeff Keighley at LA Live downtown. And that, to date, I think is the most professional thing that I've ever done. Game Trailers had a TV show on Spike. We've been involved with awards shows and stuff like that, but I've always usually been a spectator, just kind of a helping hand on the side, where I was very involved in that E3 coverage and getting to work with all of the amazing people, Jeremy Hoffman, who created GTTV, and others, seeing Jeff Keighley in operation, so really seeing the guy do what he does. And it's one thing for you, to see him at the Game Awards. He's very personal with the Game Awards. He really puts himself out front. He's backstage talking with people. He's right up there in the crowd, talking about games and hosting and announcing things. But when you really see him produce, you see him in between takes, you see him behind the scenes. And you see how he's just on all the time, that persona that he has that does not stop because the man does not stop working. And so it's just really crazy and inspiring to see him do what he does and work with that team and see this television team from Viacom just come swooping in, produce 3 to 4 days of television, and then gone back to New York. And being a part of the TV world for a couple of days every year. I think we did that for 3 years. I got to be a part of that. That was an absolute trip. I will never forget that experience. Might have been 2011, 2012. I can't remember if we did that for 4 or 3 years. It's all a blur now that I'm involved in Easy Allies. But that brings us to today. That brings us to this first day of E3 press conferences, E3 2016 here at Easy Allies. I'm here in the Easy Allies stage. Thinking of all of the crazy things that I've done, booths I've seen built, crews I've seen walk around, television coverage that I've helped produce, and where that has taken me not only success-wise with being able to co-found something like Easy Allies with 8 of my best friends, but to take all of that all that stuff I've learned, all of those experiences that I've had for E3. E3 is a very exciting time. E3 is where everybody's always got to put their best foot forward. People that are announcing games and making games, and people that are watching people announce games and make games and then talk about them after. I consider myself incredibly lucky to be sitting here on this stage, thanks to all of you wonderful patrons. We're almost at 5,000. We might be at 5,000 now. I haven't checked before I started shooting this morning, but it's almost 5,000 people that are supporting us. So this is crazy. I'm always a little nervous when we do E3 stuff because, like, are they gonna like it? You know, we did E3 coverage last year. They seem really excited for our coverage this year. I hope they like it. Hope everything goes great. Hope the power stays on. Hope the internet doesn't go out. But I was really nervous last year, and that turned out to be one of the best E3s ever. So thank you for your support. This couldn't happen without you. You know, I say that all the time, but I really mean it, especially now when I'm getting butterflies in my stomach first day of E3. Happy to have you here with me before any of the allies show up, nice and quiet here on the stage. I hope all of you have a wonderful E3. We will be here Sunday and Monday almost all day covering all of the press conferences, and then Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, we will be starting at 8 p.m. Pacific time here on the stage, going until we pass out, talking about all of the amazing appointments that we see at the show, which is not only games that we're demoing, but people that we're interviewing, and just other flavor, just other stuff we're gonna see at the show, and other people that we bump into. So again, we have a website, easyallies.com. We have a forum now. Go there. You can sign up with, I believe, different, Facebook and Gmail, stuff like that. And you can also, most importantly, see our schedule, which is on the left-hand side of the index page. And you can go and see everything that we're up to, and we'll do our best to update that throughout the week if anything changes. But I'm so happy. I'm so excited. Thank you guys for tuning in. I will be back next week. If you want to, with the regular Cup of Jones, if you want to drop questions for that episode, you can put them in this episode. I will also be taking questions from the previous episode. Some people like to post in both, just in case. I hope all of you have a wonderful E3. Cheers.